All right, everybody. So right on time, we are back, Coach's Corner, and we've got a very special guest with us tonight. Let me just make sure I'm getting everybody entered in. Okay. All right. So welcome back to Coach's Corner, and we're still working on that same topic, because we're all still kind of under the thumb of what's been going on, the lockdown, and what can coaches and wrestlers do during this time, as well as parents, because we're all dealing with very similar, if not the same exact issues during this lockdown. And we're going to be meeting up here tonight with Coach Steve Horton out of Texas, the MB Elite Wrestling. And I just want to take a moment, and I've got his profile page pulled up here on his website, and I just have to take a moment, and I want to read off a little bit. Well, I'm going to read off some of this stuff so that way you can kind of understand who we're talking to. Head coach of MB Elite, silver level certified coach. And those of you who don't understand or know what that is, there are, what is it, 4 levels of coach or 3 levels of coaching?
Copper, bronze.
Yeah, copper, bronze, and silver. It's a time invested to do that. You don't get paid to do it. You actually have to pay to do it. So, it's a very special level of coaching for sure. Director of Texas USA Freestyle Greco-Roman Wrestling, head coach USA Pan American Greco team in 2019. Team lead, Texas Team Cadet Junior National Team 2017. Assistant coach USA Air Force Greco-Roman Freestyle 2014 to 2016. Assistant coach Team Texas Cadet Junior Team National 2016, and assistant coach USA Air Force Greco-Roman Freestyle 2014-2016. So you've got some major accomplishments already as a coach, in my mind, and anybody else out there that understands wrestling will definitely feel the same way. But, what I was thinking about is like, man, that's right there just as a coach, that's phenomenal. I love that. And the different types of styles, all 3 different styles, and the national team. But moreover, still out there getting after it as a wrestler. And I'm sure that because the lockdowns are in place, that's the only reason why it's keeping you from out there, ripping off heads. But we've got most recent wrestling accomplishments, and I'm like, I get giddy almost because I'm talking about this and what he's accomplished. 2019 Freestyle Masters National Champion. I mean, come on, let's go. 2019 Greco-Roman Masters Silver Medalist. I love it. 2019 Folk Style Masters National Champion. 2018 Greco-Roman Veteran World Silver Medalist, and 2018 Freestyle Veteran World Bronze Medalist. I mean, there's more of a list to go, and what I want you guys to do is I want you to go to mbwrestling.com and check it out, because that's, I'm a huge fan of wrestling. So when you meet someone like Steve, who is not only, teaching people how to do it, but he's still getting after it at a very, very high level, I kind of get a little giddy, because it's just, he's not a very common person on the planet, is all I can say. And also being in the military, I'm just being real about it. It's like a true American hero, and he's still getting after it and helping kids, coaching. And one of the things I really love about it too is 100% volunteer club. So these guys, with that kind of a resume, he could be getting hand over fist when it comes to training kids and building a gigantic club with membership dues that are outlandish and personal train. I mean, it's like when you're a volunteer and you build something that these guys have, it's a game changer for the kids and their future. So with that being said, I want to introduce Steve. And thank you, for joining us today. We're, again, talking about the lockdown situation, and just wanted to welcome you, Steve. How's it going?
Thanks. It's going good. I mean, as good as it can be going anyway these days. Everybody's in that same situation, I think. Just doing the best we can to get through and trying to still help kids while not being able to be on the mat a lot. So it's tough. It's a tough situation, especially for guys like us who want to be on the mat wrestling all the time.
It is. It's very, in the very beginning, it was, for me, and I'm just being real, it was a little depressing, I mean, you're used to being around all the kiddos all the time, and then when that big ray of sunshine is ripped out of your life, you're like, what the, what am I doing? But, so, and that's the thing, is a lot of coaches and wrestlers, and as well as parents, have kind of hit this, I don't want to say wall, but, a sticking point in a sense of, what do we do, coach? Or even coaches are like, what do I do? What am I supposed to do during this time? Because it hasn't ended. In some areas of the country, folks are doing kind of going back to, quote unquote normal, staying 6 feet apart, or whatever. But for the most part, we're all still kind of, don't touch me kind of world. So
it's a little hard to social distance in our sport.
Yeah. There's like zero distance whatsoever. So, as a coach, also as a mentor to other coaches, what have you implemented? Let's just start there, I guess, for your kids, the ones that you work with, because I know that you work with them at a pretty high level. So what do you have them doing right now?
Yeah, well, we're kind of in a lucky situation because even though our wrestling room is closed down, we're not on the mat at all. My gym that I work out is pretty big, and there's a big weightlifting area, big turf area. So I still have groups of kids come in, 2, 3, up to 4 at a time throughout the day, all day, every day of the week, come in and train, do strength and conditioning. So we keep a good circuit going where they're doing different things, and again, mostly keeping social distancing, and but they're still training. So a lot of it is still wrestling related type strength and power phases that we're doing right now. I mean, typically we'd be getting ready for freestyle and Greco State coming up here in the next week or two,
right?
But and getting preparing for Fargo and things. So, but since we're not doing that, we just kind of pulled back and went into strength and power phases, and we're just looking to the future a little bit. I told the kids, I give some kids, other kids who can't come in, they've asked me for things. I've sent workouts to lots of our kids. I have lots of circuit stuff, body weight stuff, a lot of strength and conditioning things I send out to different people. I've gotten, requests from kids all over Texas, all over, a couple from different states, asking me for some workouts. So I send them out as much as I can.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
I just think it's important to just keep involved in some way, some level. Keep the kids out there being active as much as possible. And I know different parents, different people have different points of view on this whole thing, different feelings. Some people feel like it's no issue at all. They wish they could still be on the mat right now, and they would if we'd let them. Others are real, hey, we got to stay home, but what can I do at home? They still want to work out. They still want to do that. So we try and, help out as best we can.
Yeah, it's weird, it's really weird now, right in this time of life, I guess, or this situation, because just like you said, there are some people like, let's go, and then there are other people, they've got their mask, they've got their full hazmat suits on, and and that's a bummer, so and you brought up something that, I mean, it really brings a tear to my eye, is that we're missing out on freestyle and Greco State this year, and that's something I think is huge, because really, when we go into the fall sport, of wrestling, through the school systems, I mean, from your experience as a coach, you tell me the ones who are knocking out freestyle and Greco during a lot of folks call it the off season. I call it the national season because that's what we're really going for, right? But the ones that are grinding through that season and then they show up in high school. I mean, typically those are the guys who are at the top of the podium, right, at the end of the year.
Yeah, they're making big strides during this time of the year usually, and with my club in particular, I'm a Greco guy. I mean, I
Yeah.
love. I can still wrestle a little freestyle, and I like I like all styles of wrestling, right?
Yeah.
But I'm a Greco guy, and because of that, because of the way I teach Greco, a lot of the kids in my club really like Greco. That's their favorite
Sure.
style. So
Right.
and we teach it too. We show also how they incorporate that into their folk style and their freestyle.
Right.
So yeah, those kids really are bummed out because they're missing a lot of their favorite wrestling right now. A lot of good opportunities. A few kids from my club were supposed to go to Estonia for the Thailand Open. I was coaching that team.
Mm.
Sam Henson and I were going to go out and coach that, and everything got shut down right before that trip. So a lot of good opportunities were missed this year so far for us, but
Heartbreakers.
But not just us, everybody's suffering through that same missed opportunities. So it's just up to coaches to try and keep those kids focused and keep them in a positive direction.
And if you could, if there was a coach coming to you and saying, how do I do that, coach? What do I do?
Yeah, it's I always try and as much as I can with most of the kids, I try and parents, I try and stay away from any kind of the negative side of it. Just say, hey, everybody's in the same boat, but here's what you can do to continue to get better. Prepare your body, keep your body prepared for when we can get better on the mat. You don't want to sit around eating potato chips and watching Netflix all day, every day, and then wrestling comes back online. You're not prepared. So, I always try and get them excited about at least, hey, here's the time now. Okay, we can't go to the mat and wrestle, so now we get our strength and our power up. Here's where we want to do that. Some kids talk about weight and stuff. I said, oh, yeah, now's not the time to worry about what you weigh. And now it's time to just start putting on that strength and that muscle. And we'll start thinking about weight classes and stuff later on. Who cares? I'm not a big proponent of cutting a lot of weight anymore. Right. When I competed, I cut massive amounts of weights, and it ruined my wrestling. And I tell people all the time, through the 90s, when I was with the Air Force's World Class Athlete Program, I was training at the Olympic Training Center all the time. But my whole thing became cutting weight instead of getting better wrestling. So I suffered a lot doing it. So now I try to keep our kids more focused on building that strength and that putting a little bit of lean muscle on and less on wanting to cut weight.
I love it. So that's one thing, my goal is always to be learning, especially from coaches like yourself, as athletes like yourself. Yeah, I mean, you've got the best of both worlds, really, all the experience. And if there was, and I don't know if that's it or not, but if there was, something or maybe a couple things you would have done differently. I mean, because look at where you're at. To me, it's all a really big, huge deal, of your competitive level and as a coach and the kids that you're producing. But what would you have done differently that maybe now, like you just said, you're doing differently with your the athletes that are in front of you?
Sure. Well, I learned a lot from a lot of different coaches, a lot through my career. Some good, some bad. All right. So I try and take there were some coaches where I learned some stuff, but I don't ever want to coach kids like that.
Mm-hmm.
Coaches say this is the only way to do this. You do it this way only. Well, I don't believe that. I believe there's, dozens of different ways to finish each hold, each technique. Everybody's got to make it their own. Some people aren't built the same as me. Other people got different body types and move different. So they got to take these things and move and learn on their own. So that's one thing. I always like to tell kids there's more than one way to do something. I'll show you the basic positions and the techniques. I want you to figure out how it works for you. And then I use lot of, I was pretty successful growing up and stuff, but and I won a lot more than I lost. But I never, and I had some good coaches, some decent coaches, but back in our day, we never had really any coaches that told me I had a lot of stuff to work on. You
Mm-hmm.
know, as long as I was winning, they were just like, yeah, good job. And as I got older, and started, trying to compete for national teams and stuff on the open level, I realized, well, I'm a good athlete and I'm pretty strong and I'm quick and I'm a decent wrestler, but there was a lot I didn't know. There was a lot of technique I was lacking. So now even my advanced wrestlers, I always try and give them something that they need to work on. I always, no matter what level they're getting to or what level we're training at, I always tell all these kids that we're training for the next level. So that's why we want our technique and our position to be perfect. We train to get perfect technique, perfect position, not to beat the person who we can get away with anything with, but to beat the person at the next level. So I used a lot of that stuff, me growing up, in the weight cutting stuff, and I just try and keep it fun for the kids. Our philosophy at our club is when the little kids are coming in, we're bringing them into the sport. We don't care about 7, 8, 9-year-old state champions. A lot of youth clubs I see all around the country, they got hammers, at 7, 8 years old, but then those kids disappear and you don't really see them anymore. My goal for kids is long-term development in the sport. I want them to get to high school and still be developing and still be having fun and still love it. And those are the ones that turn out to be really good wrestlers in the end, So, so longevity in the sport is one thing I really focus on. But other than that, it's just I like to use a lot of, and I talk to the kids about my experiences and stuff. Tell them I won a lot of matches because I thought I was better than everybody else. Every time I walk on a mat, I thought I was the best guy there. And I think that mental preparation goes a long way. So we work a lot of that mental side too. I didn't realize till years later that I was a good wrestler, but I had a lot. I wasn't the best guy. I needed to learn a lot, because once you get to a certain level, everybody thinks they're the best. Everybody comes out there to fight and win. So I try and do a lot of the mental side of it with our kids, and again, keep it fun, but keep everybody working hard.
Right. Yeah. That's, I think that's and like earlier in the week, I told you, I truly believe you and I are like-minded, and that's really my philosophy too, is keeping it fun. Because I've been in those wrestling rooms where they're running it like the military, and hey, that's a 6-year-old, man, and that's a 7-year-old little girl. Chill out, and it's not the military. This is supposed to be fun, or you're going to scare these kids away. And like you did say, is you'll see those little 7, 8-year-old hammers, state champions, but then they fizzle out before they even make it to high school, and they don't want anything to do with wrestling, and they hate their parents because of it, or whatever, just right. Craziness. Yeah. And so I get the whole and that's why I asked that question, because I know that there will be coaches that are listening that may be doing that type of program, and I'm thinking a lot of them, just because they don't know any better, because that's how they were coached, so they think, well, hey, this is the tradition, I'm supposed to beat the crap out of these kids, bark at them like a drill sergeant, and then make them cut a whole bunch of weight because I want them to be miserable, because that's what we're supposed to be as wrestlers, is miserable all the time, because that's what makes a tough wrestler, So what do you tell those, kids or parents, even more so, that, say, hey, coach, here's where we're at in weight, should we go ahead and cut, at these youth levels, because I'm working with kids as young as 4 years old all the way through high school, but the more importantly, what you're talking about is that longevity in the sport. So you got these younger kids that are maybe going into middle school or are that age, and they're considering cutting weight for a youth tournament this coming weekend.
Right. Yeah, I do have parents ask me about that, and and even some kids ask me well, even the young high school kids will ask me my opinion on what weight I think they should go, and I'm like, what's your weight now? And when we talk about it, but I just try and let the parents, especially the younger kids, know. My immediate answer to all of them is no. We don't want to cut weight. And if it's a management type thing where he's a pound over the next weight class down, but he eats lots of junk throughout the week, we have that discussion, and I say, listen, all right, if you just want to, if that's what he wants to do, maybe then just have the discussion about discipline and work that into it a little bit. Hey, we just got to cut out this little Debbie snack cake once a day, and your weight will just naturally be there. So we try and get them to understand the full nutrition side of it and everything too, eating right, and rather than cutting weight. You know what I mean? There's a big difference back in our day. Back when I grew up wrestling in the 70s and 80s, when I was younger, it was, I mean, we just threw on a sauna suit and dropped massive amounts of weight, and that was never a good thing to do.
Yeah, I remember going to high school, my classes, and people would be like, what's that noise? And it's because I had my sauna suit underneath my clothes.
Yeah, I can remember cutting weight, and I was kind of my mentality was I was a fighter. And when I would cut weight, I would blame it on the guy that I had to wrestle that night. So I'd weight, and I'd be thinking about that guy from that other school who I didn't know, but I'd be like, it's his fault I have to do this. So I'd want to kill him by the time I met him on the mat. And
love it.
You're kind of a jerk, like, but I didn't know it. That was my mentality. I'm telling you, get out there and fight everybody. Thankfully, I've learned a lot since then, and try and help the kids understand that it's not
right. It's important, and that's why I asked that, because at the youth level, let's just be real, that there are kids out there that are cutting weight, and as leaders in the sport, as a coach, are we giving them the right advices, or are we turning our shoulder, or turning away from certain things? And I want to ask things to help educate other coaches, parents, wrestlers that may just not know any better. They might think that, it's this old school way is the best way, but that's not really.
Yeah, I've had a couple, parents, families move to my area and then start training with me. And, one not long ago told me that, they thought they just had to go to everything, wrestle and everything. And, they were told they had to do this and this and that. And they said they probably wouldn't still be in the sport had they not come to our place. And it's just because I don't, I don't think we need to take 50 of our kids up to Tulsa Nationals every year, because 40 of them are going to go 0-2 and get smashed,
Yeah.
Experience. I mean, going 0-2 is not always a bad experience if you're in the fight and you learn stuff from it and you're prepared and you're, but I would rather take smaller groups to those big tournaments and have them be the right kids, the kids who are ready to step up to that level of competition. Right. Because some kids they'll take some beatings and be gone. That's it. That's no fun for anybody, and they don't want to do it. So that's just I try and talk to parents, and we've got. I get a lot of good buy-in from my parents. I think because of that, I'm still competing, and things I've done and stuff. I think that parents will trust me after I talk to them for a while. They learn to trust me. We build up a lot of good mutual respect in our clubs, and I don't. Most of our parents are not trying to live through their kids. You see that all the time at them youth tournaments. The dad on the side of the mat screaming and yelling at everybody. And I'm a pretty intense guy, but I try my best not to be like that at tournaments. And I'm not 100%. Somebody every now and then will be like, "Yeah, you need to relax." And I'm like, "Yeah, I know, I get it." But again, we try and limit that kind of stuff, and
right. Yeah, I can identify.
Are real good about just stepping away and letting me deal with their kids.
That's awesome. That's what, yeah. That's you know, and you said something that I key in on is the buy-in, you know, because that's so important. Not only, you know, for the wrestler, so that way you can actually do what you need to do with them as a coach, but in order to also grow your organization, you know. And that's one thing also too, you know, as a coach, I you know, if you want to have a successful organization, you just don't do it by, you know, shooting from the hip and, you know, flying by the seat of your pants. And, you know, I've done my research, is like, okay, what do I need to do to help the organization grow? And that's really a key component, is getting those parents to buy in, you know. And the way to do it is by making the kids want to come back, right? It sounds like, you know, and correct me if I'm wrong, but the culture that you've created is not one of high pressure, but more of learning, having fun, and gaining experience.
Yep. Yeah, and we our philosophy is, you know, I follow Sam Henson's philosophy a lot. His is consistency wins. So we incorporate that into our training too. And I always have. Me and Sam been friends for years, so we kind of grew up the same way, thinking the same way. But that's why we go to his camps all the time, and I bring him down to my club because we like what he does. But we, you know, we don't teach 100 moves in our club. We're a basics and fundamental type organization, and the kids they know the routine when they come in. We warm up, we drill, you know, and we'll work on positions and you know, and getting to shots and things like that. But we don't teach a whole lot of stuff. I think that fundamentals win on every level, so that's the way we try and keep it. And the kids know we keep pretty high, depending on what time of the season it is. When I first got down here, I started running like in August and early September and stuff like that. Kids would want to come in, they want to bang heads right away. Kids want to get on the mat and just wrestle hard, and I wouldn't let them do that. I'd be like, no, we're just going to move, stance, and motion. We're going to drill, light drilling, and we did that for several weeks. I told them it's a long season. I don't want you guys tired and burned out by beginning of January. Then you still got a month and a half left before the state tournament, you know. So just relax. I'm just preparing you to get with your high school team, just to start with your team. So after the first year or so, kids start understanding that, and they figure it out. And so they come in, we get to work. They know what's expected of them, and all I have to do is I'm just there and for guidance. You know, really, I don't have to do a whole lot. There are some times when I'll yell in practice, and it shocks that it gets everybody's attention.
Yeah.
You know, so when I do, everybody kind of stops, reevaluates what's going on, and then they start working harder. You know, so they know if I raise my voice and I yell, because I'll stop everything and be like, "What are we doing?" I'm seeing you guys are in slow motion, you know, and when they realize when I raise my voice, then okay, we need to get to work. Coach is not seeing what he likes here. So, but again, that's mutual respect. That's understanding. You know, you can't go in there and yell and scream every day in practice, and like you said, running like a military organization, because kids stop responding to that. They stop hearing it. So, you know, sometimes I yell for effect, but it's once every few weeks that I raise my voice. So when I do it, I just do, you know, I do it for effect. I want them to.
A strategic yell. I love it. Yeah.
And at the end of practice, I'll laugh at them. I'll be like, "Yeah, how many of you never heard me yelling here before?" And every night I get some new ones. I'm like, "Wow, never heard you yell, Coach." I'm like, "Yeah, well, now you know."
There it is. Right. Yeah, I love it. And you know, I've done. I can. You know, things kind of present themselves like that. You're doing a good job. You know, with the kids. I've had, you know, our rule is when we're up there, you know, whatever coach is up there teaching technique, everybody's lips are zipped and their eyes are focused, right? And our ears are big. And if you talk, you're being one is disrespectful, and two, you're showing us that you're not willing to learn because you're not listening, because you can't listen if you're not learning, right? Or you can't learn if you're not listening. So, you know, and we just drill that into the kids, because really it's a sign of respect too, when you can stop and listen and actually focus on somebody when they're speaking to you. Yeah. And so, you know, there will be instances now in the room where we'll be up there instructing, you know, going through a technique or whatever, and then maybe a new kid, or, you know, someone who's a little squirrely, gets a little squirrely, and the other kids are like, hey, you know, they'll set them straight. It's like, coach doesn't even have to do it anymore, you know?
Yeah, and that's what, you know, when we first, we had a pretty big group this year. We had well over 100 kids in our program, and but I was lucky. I've got a guy named Mike Matthews who came in to help me out this year, and he works with the little kids really good and the beginners and stuff. So last year and the year before that, I was running the beginner program. And I'd kick all the little kids out and get the other advanced kids in there. And it was, you know, and I had other dad coaches that would come in and help out too, but I'm retired. So I've got time. And they have real jobs and, you know, other stuff to deal with too. So, so they do the best they can coming in to help me out and everything. But when Mike came on and helped me out, he took that beginner program, and he's such a good coach with brand new kids that, I mean, it grew. We had 55 or 60 kids in that program, and he just ran it a couple of nights a week, and it left me to run the elite club. And we call it leveling up. When kids are ready to move from that other program, we talk to them, we talk to their parents, we have them come in to try out and practice in the advanced club. And most of them are ready at that point, but some are like, yeah, I need to stay back with the other guys for a while. But yeah, when we get new people, the parents will call me and ask me up. I'll invite them in. I tell them, hey, come in and practice with us a few times, because we're not for everybody. I said, make sure you're comfortable with us, and your son's comfortable with us, or your daughter. And I said, because we're not for everybody. A lot of people don't respond to structure. We have pretty good structure coming in there. We have fun. We stay kind of loose, but it's a structure still. We still work hard. Everybody knows what's expected of them. Most kids like that, and they thrive in that, but every now and then we get some that just are like, yeah, that's just too much for me. And I suggest other clubs to them, hey, try these guys. They just, not that they're any different level club than us, they're just different philosophies. So I'll let you know, maybe you'll fit in better with them. So as a coach, I don't have a really big ego. I think I'm a pretty good coach, especially when it comes to Greco. I honestly believe I'm a good Greco coach. But I believe kids should get training wherever they can get training. So some youth clubs I know are like, hey, you can't train with that club over there if you're part of our club. Well, I'm not like that. I encourage kids to get training wherever they can. There's a real good club up in Austin called 3F, where they got some hammers in high school. Some of my kids will sometimes go up there and train with them because they get good high school kids there. And I'm like, yes. I mean, I encourage that kind of thing. I know other coaches though who are like, no, we don't want you going anywhere but with us. And I don't understand that mentality, because I think to grow the sport, you want kids to get better. And if a kid finds a club that he feels like he's getting better at other than mine, then that's awesome. I hate to lose kids, but I want kids to be successful, and whether it's with me or not. So I don't know. I think that kind of attitude, though, I think keeps a lot of kids in my club. I think because they understand that I care about their development and not just that whether they win or not. You know, overall development is what I'd like to see.
Man, I love that. Because, you know, I don't understand it either. Like I'm like, wow, I've never even thought like that. You know, like to have a kid in my program and say, hey, no, you can't go train over, you know. In fact, just 2 weeks ago, I have a female wrestler in my program, and, you know, her and I have just got this amazing bond. And there's a new coach in her area that is going to be the high school coach, and asked her if she would like to come to the girls' practices with the team. And she asked me, she's like, oh, I don't know, you know, coach, you know, and I think that she had maybe created this whole big scenario in her mind that was going to happen. And then she asked me, Coach, can I get your permission to go and train at this other, practice? And I said, my permission? No, tell me that you're going to go, because I want you, I want the, yes, go. Push her out. In fact, I reached out to the other coach and said, hey, gave her some insight on her, because I want the most for this kid. And
yeah, especially the higher level kids start getting. I mean, I've got a couple kids in my club who are pretty high level kids and different ages and stuff. But I mean, once they understand how good they are, they're really going to take off. But
right. Yeah.
And I've made comments to them about, hey, we need to start thinking about getting you some different coaching, and I'm talking about higher level coaching stuff. And some of them kind of freak out about, what? You're my coach. I'm like, yes, I'm always going to be your coach. But there's other coaches that have things to offer you. And I think that's important, because I could say something to a kid and they just don't get it. And you tell them the exact same thing, except you say it in a different way that they get. And that's the important thing, that they get it, not who they get it from, as far as I'm concerned. I know I've got a certain style of teaching things and the way I do things. And that's not, other coaches can make kids better. And I have no problem with that at all. I encourage it. I want kids to get as good as they can, whether it's under me or under somebody else, the guy down the street. Doesn't matter to me.
Thank you. I asked again. I'm pretty deliberate at times on my questions, and there's coaches out there that's their philosophy, that's their way of thinking, and let's just go right back to maybe that's just old school way of thinking, and they don't know any better. And then for the kids, because they've been around these coaches that are in an old school way of thinking, they put that onto the kids' minds, like that's the way it's supposed to be because that's what coach said. Right. And then that thought process continues on. So I'm glad that you said what you said, because there's a lot of people out there that need to hear that.
Yeah. Unfortunately, I just, again, as a competitor, when I step on the mat, I believe I'm the best guy on the mat every time I walk out there. Doesn't always work out for me, but that's what I believe. As a coach, I don't have that same ego. I think I'm a pretty good coach, but I understand that there are lots of people out there that have things to offer kids, and everything I say is not the best. So it's important that kids get exposed to as many different people as possible. Everybody's got to have their main coach. You know what I mean? Everybody's got to have the person they're most comfortable with, and it's our job as coaches to understand our athletes, what they need before they go out there. Some kids like to be smacked in the head. You know what I mean? Before they go out there, come on, go out there and kill. Other kids, I got one kid who's really, really good for me, but when he's getting ready to wrestle a big match, I talk to him about everything except wrestling for those couple of minutes leading up to his match while we're waiting for the ones ahead. Then all of a sudden, like, okay, you're up, let's go. Because I know it keeps him relaxed, Right. I don't want anybody around him telling him, come on, let's go, because I know he gets nervous then. And, so it's about just understanding your athletes. And to do that, you got to let them experience other things.
Okay, and that's another key factor is getting to understand your athletes, because I mean, again, with some coaches, and I bring it up because I'm doing my best to help as many coaches as I can that are wanting to learn from guys like you. Is it's kind of like a cookie cutter thing. Everyone's going to get treated the same. Like back to that military soldier mentality. You're not any different than this kid over here or that kid or how I'm gonna treat it. You're just all, let's go. And how do you get to know your kids better? I mean, do you have like a form that they fill out, or you just through
I like to spend a lot of time talking to them in the wrestling room. When the kid, I'm there, I'm the first one in the room all the time. and as kids filter in, I talk to them, here and there. When they join the club, I talk to them and their parents. We talk about goals, we talk about things like that. But I just like to have, I make sure I try and talk to kids all the time. When we're warming up, I warm up with them most of the time. So I'll be jogging next to them, asking them how their day was, asking them, different things. I just like to, and throughout practice, I walk the room constantly. I'm constantly moving, and as I watch, talk them through some stuff and talk to them and see how they react to different things. Some kids react to that. Come on, let's go yelling at them. Come on, you got to work harder than that. And they, yeah, yes, coach, and they go right after it. Other kids need to be not coddled, but they need to be talked to a little different. So I try every day in practice. I do that. I try and get to know the kids more and more and more just through interaction. And most of it's during practice. But I think, I don't know, I just think from being around wrestlers and wrestling in the sport for so long, I think I'm pretty good at, picking up on kids, what they need and what they don't need. Again, sometimes, I may be way off and be like, okay, so we need to fix something with this kid. Had one kid who came in who was real aggressive and real, and he didn't know a lot of wrestling, but he won all the time. And he was just real nervous and real strong and because he was scared and he didn't know a lot. Once we got him in the room and figured out he just needed to relax, and we taught him some technique, and he was he's still such a good athlete that once he picked up on the technique and we got him to relax, his wrestling took off, went through the roof. And so now he's a kid I talk to about everything except the match coming up, And now I've gotten to a point where this last year with him where he was starting to be a little bit too relaxed sometimes. So now you've got, because kids evolve too,
Right.
Coaches, athletes and kids grow and evolve. So as coaches, we have to be able to grow with those kids. And so now this kid is getting to an age where, he's wrestling national finals and stuff like that and things. And so every match now is I just remind them, hey, focused aggression here. We need you to get back to that being a little bit mean and a little bit ornery out there, but focused with it, not just be a crazy man. So now, again, that works for him now. But I've had to adjust. Every year I'm around these kids. I'm in there every day with them. So. We travel. We go to Freak Show in Vegas. We go to Preseason Nationals. We go to Tulsa. We go to JOC. We travel a lot. So gives me lots of time to get to know the kids, what they, how they react to things, how they're feeling. I talk to their parents. If I see something a little off, I talk to their parents and say, hey, what do we, is there something up? So I don't know. It's just, again, I think it's just a constant. You got to constantly work at it. Once you get comfortable and just sit back, then everything's just going to eventually fall apart.
I love it. Again, back to the like-minded thing, because I really love getting to know my wrestlers. So because I truly believe it enables me to coach them in the best way possible. I can't, because if I don't know them, then I'm just doing that cookie cutter kind of thing. So getting to know your wrestlers, I'm sure that one of them has come up to you and said, hey, coach, I'm sure more than one, but I have goals and I want to, here's what I want to do. I want to become a high level wrestler, and I want to qualify to where I can go to a top 10 NCAA wrestling school. And then I would like to get to the point where I can qualify for the world's team and medal. And from there, I would like to become an Olympian. Yeah. So, Coach, what do I need to do?
Yeah. Well, when I get kids talk to me about that kind of stuff, because I encourage all the kids anyway to set goals. I have those short-term goals, those medium-term goals, and those long-term goals. Yeah, and I've told them all, hey, a long-term goal might be, I want to be an Olympic champion. Well, then now you got to start working on the short-term goals and everything to get there. But, I just talked to those athletes about, as they're developing, getting them to higher level, so as we recognize those kind of kids who express interest in those things, we start looking out. I talk to the parents, I talk to them, and we start looking out at what kind of competitions in the next year or two we need to start getting them to, what kind of training we need to start getting them to. And again, that's not, if we got 100 kids in the room, that's usually 10 maybe that express that kind of, interest of getting to that kind of level. So it's not, like we're trying to work on 50 kids. Yeah, it'd be nice if 50 kids that want to do that. But, everybody's got different levels of what they want to do and different goals. So those kids, though, who are serious like that, and they ask me, I've got a few that ask me those, talk about going to wrestling in college, and I help them kind of set out a plan. Here, we need to do this. We need to start getting to these kind of tournaments. You need to start looking at being on a podium at Fargo, by the time you're a junior, and so, and like I told some kids, gone are the days where you have to be a 3 and 4 time state champion to get to go to a big school and wrestle, because it's what you're doing on the national scene a lot when you're in high school that college coaches don't notice. So, having 3 and 4 time state championships doesn't hurt, but that's not something that you have to do. We just had a kid out of our club, grew up in our club, just won a state championship this year at heavyweight, first state championship from the school, 37-0, pinned all 37 kids. He just signed with Oklahoma State to go wrestle.
I saw that. Yeah, congratulations on that. That's awesome.
That's an example of, he took second state the year before and third the year before. So he was, he's a good wrestler. But again, he won 1 state championship, and now he's going to go to Oklahoma State and try and make the team there. So, we just try and get these kids, set a plan up for them and make them understand that, hey, it takes commitment, takes dedication, and the local tournaments here in Texas are not what's going to get them there. We've got those are good, those are nice, but we have to look for higher level stuff too, not just competition, but training. So, so it's something we talk about all the time.
I dig it, because that kind of plays in. So, thinking about that, because I've got all the, I've got a group of kids that I think is what your average wrestling room looks like. Anywhere, anytime given, between 20 to 50 flowing in and out. And like you said, maybe 10% of them are wanting to go high level. So, and I find that those kids tend to be the leaders in the room, with that, wanting to be high level, there are certain, I would say, I guess, a certain lifestyle that you have to live. It's not like you're still actively on the mats. So that breeds a long lifestyle of wrestling for you.
I've been lucky.
Yeah. Well, I don't know about luck, man. I'd say there's a lot of blood, sweat, and tears, but for these kids, just the basic recommendations, maybe that these other coaches could help share with their kids, is what do they need to be doing on a regular basis? Like, I know a lot of these kids play video games and they're eating crappy foods and possibly just getting by with the bare minimum. But when you see your higher elite athletes, what are they doing extra, I guess, like the extra road work, maybe staying extra 15-30 minutes of practice, or showing earlier, what do you see as a common denominator?
Well, yeah, that's exactly right. It's those kids who come in a little early. They're there all the time. One kid, I had to tell his parents after kids nationals a couple of years ago, I don't want to see him back in the room till for a month, because I want him to go out and be a kid a little bit. But yes, those kind of kids who love the sport, and they love it so much that they live it every day. If they're not in the gym working wrestling, they're working out somehow. Even when they play with their friends, they're working out. They right. Be climbing and pushing, doing things that are geared toward athletics. And but I always tell them, make sure you take a little bit of time to be a kid too, and until you get to that, high school level or something like that. I mean, yeah, you got to do a lot of preparation, live the right way, and do a lot of the right things, develop the right habits before that. But I want them to play multiple sports. I always have parents say, hey, we might not be around for the next couple months because he likes baseball too. I'm like, that's great. Go play baseball. I want little kids to play multiple sports because I believe in that. I don't think kids should settle on one sport when they're 7 years old and only wrestle. As much as I love wrestling, much as I've done since I was a little kid, and I'll be 54 on Tuesday, and I still do it.
Yeah, I love it.
I want those kids to play other sports because that's how you develop a round athlete, an all-around athlete. They got to develop those other skills too. Hand-eye coordination is good in baseball, so you can learn, nothing better than teaching toughness than wrestling. But, in football, wrestling comes right in there. So, but yeah, those higher level athletes, those guys that have those goals and look long term and say, this is what I want to do. You'll notice they're lifting weights. They're asking you all the time at the end of practice, is there anything else I can do, coach? I've got a few of those kids. Hey, is there anything else I can do? Like, yeah, here's what you can do before you get out of here. Spend 15 minutes doing this and, mop the mats. No, I don't tell them that. But yeah, they come in. They're coming in right now doing strength and conditioning training on their own. I put them through, give them their workouts. I put them through some stuff, and they work hard at it. But they're not typically those kids who just, they're pretty good athletes and they are fairly successful at wrestling, but they don't have any really higher goals. They like wrestling, but it's not their main, you can see those kids that separate themselves pretty easily in the practice room.
Yeah, it definitely does present itself pretty easily. Now, I was talking to one of my wrestlers the other day, and I was blown away, really. I was asking this wrestler, and I won't say if it's a male or a female, just so that person knows I'm not talking about that. Well, but anyways, I asked, how many meals a day are you eating? And I was told, 2. And it's like, how do you think you'll be able to become a higher level wrestler with 2 meals a day? I mean, and I don't want to go too off track on the meal part, but because we're getting close to our time, what kind of consumption would you like just for a typical wrestler? How many meals is 2 meals a day good enough, Coach?
No, especially when you're trying to compete, you got to be fueled up. I eat pretty much whatever I want, and that's what people are usually shocked. How can you eat like that? I'm like, well, when I'm about 2 months out from competition, I clean my diet up because I just feel better when I, compete. But I'm a big believer in the heart. You can eat whatever you want as long as you work hard. The harder you work, the better you should eat. You should be able to eat clean, good food, but not a lot of junk. I like to eat some junk. I tell kids all the time, if you try and do a strict diet all the time, it's hard. You're going to fail. You got to build in a little bit of, stuff you like and things like that into it. At least in my opinion, because I don't want kids not wrestling because, I can't ever have that cookie. I can't ever have any ice cream, and that's how little kids think, that's how them younger kids think. They think, they start associating wrestling with not being able to eat. And that's why, again, back to the weight cutting thing, I discourage parents from, hey, whatever your kid weighs, we'll just wrestle them there. So they're still learning how to wrestle. So we don't need to worry about that yet.
Man, it must be so much fun to wrestle for you, Coach, because, I'm hearing like you make it as fun as possible. You really get personal with these kids. It sounds like there's not a lot of pressure, which is the best environment for youngsters, because they crack under pressure and then they think they're letting us down, or it's crazy all the little thoughts that go through their heads. And I really, really appreciate everything that you shared with us, because I'm hoping, my hope is, of all the folks that listen out there, if we can make a difference in even one coach or one athlete or one parent, we win. Now with this summer coming up, and I know you're, freestyle, Greco, and folk style, you guys have all 3 different types of styles at your facility. You guys running any camps this summer, or has that all been kind of squashed?
That's all been kind of squashed. I mean, we brought Sam Henson down to do a camp in March, and that was right as everything was starting to get, starting to shut down. And so we had a camp there. About half the people, all this, because again, it was right at the time we were everything was shutting down. About half of them said, "Oh no, we're not coming." But usually I try and do a Greco clinic at the club in the spring every year. And then we'll bring Sam Henson's going to come down again at the end of August or beginning of September to do like a preseason camp for our kids. So we usually get pretty good turnouts for him. And then we're going up there to Missouri to do his later on this summer too. So we developed a good partnership with Sam Henson. I mean, not only was he a world-class wrestler, but he's a world-class coach. So, and I really like what he does, and all my kids respond to him too. So
awesome. Sounds good. I'll have to look him up. And he's here in Missouri, you say?
Yes.
Okay, I'll check him out. Because that's the thing. Well, I'm sorry. Once again.
Bulltrain.com.
Oh yeah. Okay. Yeah. So I've seen some of his guys wrestle. Man, some scary kids. I mean, it's like, holy moly, like, wow. I mean, that's what we want, right? So now are there any events or anything that you'd like to mention about your club, your organization coming up, Coach? I know,
normally I would probably have a bunch of things, but right now we're in a holding pattern. I mean, we just want to get back on the mats. And, I'm not sure they're going to really be able to get any, of the good big tournaments this summer. But
that hurts my heart.
We can still, I mean, if it gets back to open up where they say we can compete, even if they're not going to have any big things, we'll hold a tournament down here at our club. We'll do something. We'll get some guys in some matches if we can. Right.
Got to get a little action before it's all said and done. If anything pops up on the radar, definitely let me know, Coach, so I can let the rest of the wrestling family know, and get them out and get going. And again, want to really thank you for your time that you've shared with us tonight. It's priceless, high level of value, the information we've gotten tonight. And again, just super grateful for your time, Coach. Looking forward to hopefully seeing you mat side sometime soon. Get our kids out there and get after it. I've got some kids that love doing Greco and some freestyle, and also have a couple girls that are this might just warm your heart, that they're wanting to do some Greco competitions.
Awesome. Yeah.
So I mean, isn't that great how girls wrestling has just really come to surface, and now it's just growing. So
yeah, I love it. They did it right down here in Texas too. When they started girls wrestling, they were one of the first states that did girls wrestling, and so Texas, their girl wrestling is really good. So
right on. Well, I can't wait to send some of our girls down there to compete, so that way they can get a taste of some good competition, and do a little female Greco, which is almost an unheard word, but now here we go, right?
All the girls in my club go through the Greco training too.
I love it. Well, again, Coach, I really appreciate your time, and everybody, want to thank you for tuning in. We'll be back next Sunday, and hopefully we'll see everybody mat side. Coach, hope you have a good night and enjoy the rest of your evening, and I'll again hopefully see you mat side.
All right. Thanks a lot.
Take care. Thank you.